We can call that one a quick commercial break.
Katy Perry was just singing my favorite song, Roar, out there, so I had to go get a better view of it. That song just touches me.
Right.
Sorry, everybody. I had to take the personal break.
So I'm not completely sure where we left off, but in terms of the fantasy football draft, we were talking about a 12-team PPR experts league we're in with a bunch of Instagram users that was started by one of them, and we were knee-deep in some Tom Brady talk. And you were just explaining how you're not that high on him this year. I like him as a top.
It's not nothing on Tom Brady because I know how great he is as a quarterback. I just think the quarterback position itself is very deep this year. And I don't think reaching for Tom Brady in the 5th gets you as good as value as, say, Matt Ryan, who went in the 6th in this draft, or RG3, Colin Kaepernick, and Russell Wilson that went in the 10th. I think that's a great value pick.
Spoiler alert, right.
I think those are great value picks. And taking Brady that high to me is just, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year.
Colin Kaepernick or Tom Brady?
Colin Kaepernick.
Tom Brady or Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson.
I don't see it. I'm not. You're talking about 2 run-oriented offenses.
I understand.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't see that at all. I just think that Tom Brady, and you know what? If you want to make the argument for Matt Ryan about 7 to 8 picks later, fair enough, because they're a passing offense. But I think that Tom Brady is in right now a balanced offense, but even a balanced offense is better than a run-oriented offense for a quarterback. So are they going to let Kaepernick and Wilson sling it to a degree? Sure.
Kaepernick's going to throw the ball. They just paid him. And he's not going to hand. What happened to Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco got paid. He started handing the ball. He started passing the ball.
And you know what? That's just I don't buy that logic. Right, he started passing the ball. He's no better in fantasy.
Nope, he actually got worse in fantasy.
So I guess that's my point.
When you pay a quarterback, you don't pay him to hand the ball off. Colin Kaepernick's going to come out slinging this year. That's why I like him.
But just as you said, he got worse. I mean, Flacco got worse. Listen, we have different ideas on Tom Brady, but you're talking about a guy with a proven record. And I guess at the end of the day, that's my point. Not many of his targets have changed. In fact, you can make the argument that they've gotten better. So, especially with a healthy Gronk, and he looks ready and raring to go. As long as he's in the lineup, as long as he's healthy, the idea that he would play a full 16 is a little asinine. I get that. But if he plays 12 games or 10 games, you're talking about potential.
It's going to be a great 12 games for Brady. I agree.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the 6th round. I think that we won this round. Other than, what was really interesting to me is that Tony Romo went with the first pick in the 6th round. In terms of fantasy, I think 6th round was a little too high. And I think the Guru, his name's the Guru, I think he reached a little bit. I think he could have gotten him in the 8th, but where Tom Brady immediately went, I think that he saw a little bit of a, not as much a run on quarterbacks, but Brady goes, and then I think he got nervous, much like we did in the earlier rounds with running back. We saw a lot of running backs go, and we took Trent Richardson. A little bit of a panic pick. I like the pick, but we did panic a little bit. So I think that Tony Romo in the 6th is a little too high.
I give him all the credit. He saw that he wasn't going to get a pick for another 23 picks. That was obviously his quarterback, and he saw him going within the next 23 picks. He said, you know what? I don't care. I'm getting my quarterback that I want to have. Obviously did that. He's obviously very high on Romo. I myself am high on Romo. I don't know if I'm reaching for him that high, but it's clearly that was his guy he wanted to be his fantasy quarterback this season.
He had back-to-back picks. So with the last pick in the 5th round, he took Golden Tate, and then he backed it up with Tony Romo. I like the pick of Golden Tate with the last pick in the 5th over Tony Romo with the 1st and the 6th.
Again,
does that make sense?
Yeah, but he wanted Tony Romo. To me, it says he wants Tony Romo, and he got him.
In terms of the 6th round, Tony Romo, Chris Johnson, Cam Newton. Watch the table. Deshaun Jackson.
I was laughing at Cam Newton going in the 6th more than the table.
Was it a leg day today at the gym?
No, that was yesterday. But Cam Newton made me kick my feet up because I was laughing.
Let's not break anything anymore.
Don't say Cam Newton in the 6th again. I might laugh.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a head scratcher for the two of us. And again, I think it was one of those situations where you see a little bit of a run on quarterbacks, and maybe they got a little bit nervous. Cam Newton in the 6th, 3rd pick in the 6th for fantasy advice. Deshaun Jackson, T.Y. Hilton, Matt Ryan, Torrey Smith, Jeremy Maclin, Ray Rice. Count it.
Yep. Good job.
Ben Tate, Andrew Luck, and Dennis Pitta. again, I think this was a round, not to toot our own horn, but toot. Ray Rice in the 6th, a guy that's got a 2-game suspension.
When he came out saying, when the NFL came out said he only had a 2-game suspension, that's a draft changer to me, because I'm kind of throwing away. But because he had a bad year and because he's Ray Rice, and 2-game suspension is nothing. That's just sitting out 2 games. That's 2 weeks that he's going to be healthy. He's in training camp. He's working out. He's going to be in shape. Week 3, he's an instant starter to me.
Oh, no doubt about it. And it's not even close to me. I think in terms of Ray Rice, you're talking about a guy who has multiple 1,000-yard seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So with Ray Rice, you're gambling.
The odds are in your favor when you're gambling.
In terms of Ray Rice, I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
I think they may be more in your favor for him to have a bounce-back year, considering more than Arian Foster. You could make the argument, just in the sense that, a hip injury is much easier to get over than a back injury, for one. For two, Arian Foster has sat out twice so far in training camp, and he's had, whether it's a hamstring issue, he tore his hamstring, I think it was in 2011. He's had different issues already in camp. So you're talking about taking a guy like Arian Foster with huge boom potential, but also bust in the sense that he could be out. A similar situation with Ray Rice. He's got a hip, 2-game suspension. You can factor into it, but I think he's got just as much boom potential.
I think Rice has something to prove,
Oh, no
coming
doubt
off a bad year and everything that's going off the field right now. He's going to, it's going to be for him to come back and be the old Ray Rice.
Well, then there's also the aspect, the aspect that everybody in Baltimore didn't play well. It wasn't just Ray Rice. Joe Flacco, Dennis Pitta was out.
Well,
for
they
3 quarters of the year.
changed the way their offense ran because they gave Flacco all that money. That's my theory. I'm going to stick with it, and I think they're going to go back to their theory that worked and got them to the Super Bowl. Give the ball to Ray Rice and be a pound and ground team. Their defense got a lot better. They're going to run the ball down your throat, and they're going to stop you on defense. That's Ravens football.
I don't think it was all, and I'll say this, and I'll end it with this. It wasn't all Joe Flacco. The offensive line performed poorly. The wide receivers performed poorly without Dennis Pitta in the lineup, and the defense didn't perform well.
They were all partying on that bus when they got in trouble last year.
I just think that they had an overall bad year, and I think Bernard Pierce for the first 2 weeks is going to be a questionable starter at best, considering the defenses they're playing. And I think that when Ray Rice comes back, he's going to be heavily used in that Gary Kubiak-led offense, because he's the offensive coordinator now. He ran Arian Foster into the ground. You may see a similar situation.
That's also why I like Dennis Pitta, actually, in this round. With Kubiak, I really like Pitta.
In terms of, 7, 8, and 9 rounds, you're talking about defenses, really backup players in possible flex situations. So in the 7th, we saw our first defense taken in the 8th round, which to me was a little early. But I've said time and time again, and we've agreed, although 8 is early for me, I think that, we reached a little bit, and this was more on the end of I think this was more your pick. In terms of the round, we took the New England defense in the 8th, just because that was a defense we wanted. We both agreed. And we didn't think we would get them on the turnaround. Kansas City went in with the 11th pick in the 8th, and then that was the only defense taken other than New England, after us. So we took New England with the 9th pick in the 8th round. I do like the pick. It's tough for me to completely support it, because I've been, if you want to reach for a defense, I thought round 8 was a little early, but considering you and I both said we didn't think we'd get them.
It's clear. Seattle went with the first pick in the 8th round, and 8th round starting, I'm telling you, I kind of want to go Seattle here, and you were like, I don't really feel like Seattle. What do you know? They went with the first pick, so that was even completely off the board.
San Francisco, 2 picks later.
San Fran, Houston, St. Louis, my defense, and I'm high on Carolina. And then we're there at the 9th pick, and we're like, let's get our defense that, I'm high on New England. You're very high on New England. Let's get them here and not worry about it.
And I think that, it was a little bit of homerism, I'll say that. But they are going to be a solid defense. But you're also talking about round 10, Arizona Fantasy Football Excellence took them with the 2nd pick in round 10. And then, Cincinnati went, with another really late pick. So I think that we could have waited, but we would not have wound up with New England.
No, we wouldn't have gotten them. We got our team,
and I'm glad we got them. So if you're on the supporting end of the argument, I'm glad we got them. In terms of round 9, well, round 7, if you want to go back, Julian Edelman, we took 2 New England players, back to back. Edelman in round 7, and then the defense in round 8. We just like the potential he has with Gronk out. We already touched on that. Round 9, Darren Sproles with the first pick.
I don't know why, unless they do a two back set with Sproles and McCoy back there. That's the only way I see Sproles getting action. But to me, it's going to be the McCoy show like it was last year. Look at what Bryce Brown did for them last year. He did almost nothing.
But Bryce Brown, it's tough for me over the course of their careers to compare Darren.
Though, is there a better backup to have in case that first guy gets injured than Darren Sproles in that offense?
I mean, I would rather. Yeah, I mean, Darren Sproles is going to be one of the top, and it's not even really a backup situation because he's going to get work.
Mm-hmm.
He will be taking LaShawn McCoy off the field.
Or Joik Bell or Darren Sproles.
I mean, I'm going Bell, but not by much. I think he's going to get more play.
If they're both the lead back in that system, I could see easily Darren Sproles putting up top numbers.
In a PPR league, I like Bell a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
but in a standard league, I like him a little bit more. I just think that in terms of Darren Sproles, like I said, he's going to be taking LaShawn McCoy off the field a little bit. McCoy's going to see a decrease in carries, but then again, he was an absolute beast last year.
Mm-hmm.
Offense, in camp, and there's the music.
There's Katie.
There's Katy Perry. In terms of Darren, see, she's here.
Yeah.
In terms of Darren Sproles, nobody believed us. So in terms of Darren Sproles, you're talking about an offense that during training camp here, mini camp, they were throwing him at wide out. They were putting him out there to see what he could do. So you may see different looks, especially in this Chip Kelly offense.
It's Chip Kelly's offense. He could be anywhere.
Know what's going to happen? Right?
He could be anywhere.
Round 10. Sorry, that was a round 9 pick for Fantasy Riot. That was his first pick. Took Mike Wallace with the 12th pick in round 8. I thought, solid for Mike Wallace. I like Mike Wallace there instead of round. We ended up taking. We had the short turnaround. We took Fred Jackson. Touch on Fred Jackson a little bit.
He's just very consistent at what he does. You always think it's going to be Spiller, and then Jackson just comes in, just steals carries, steals goal line. Spiller gets injured, and it's, heavy Fred Jackson. So wasting a 9th round pick on Fred Jackson, to me, just adds great depth for the entire season.
Right.
You're not just looking at him for week 1. You're looking at Fred Jackson for week 5, 6, 7, like crunch time. And it could be a possible trade bait later on if someone comes in and says, I want Fred Jackson because he's stealing.
Touching on rounds 10 through 12 real quick, we had that short turnaround with Fred Jackson, so then we had to wait all the way until the 9th pick in round 10. We took Charles Clay, and then on the short turnaround, Anquan Bolden in the 11th, and then in the 12th, Chris Ivory, who I'm surprised fell considering the offensive coordinator for the Jets was talking about how Chris Ivory will get goal line work, and that's going to add to his value.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson hurt. If he does get hurt, in fact, Chris Ivory's the one that gets hurt. But if Chris Johnson does get hurt, you're going to be looking at Ivory there.
Yeah, I mean, and you add a running back who's going to get goal line carries, like they said. I mean, it's never a bad thing in the 12th round to add touchdowns. It's never a bad thing.
Rounds 13 through 15, and just as a quick side note, I think that we were looking at Tavon Austin, Sammy Watkins in the 11th round. They both went in the 10th round, which is about where I think they're going to go. You may even see Sammy Watkins go up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Tavon's going to go up because of PPR leagues. I think his stock's going to rise a little bit too. Once people start watching that highlight reel of Tavon, although limited. Rounds 13 to 15, you're really just filling out your roster, obviously, at that point. Steve likes Steven Hauschka.
Love Hauschka.
So we're not going to touch on that too much, but that was your pick in the 13th round.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a solid kicker and a solid defense that we'll never have to sub out other than on a bye week. So I like both of them, of course, unless they don't play as well. But, round 14, again, we had to wait that long. We had to wait, 15 or 16 or so picks. Rod Streeter went with the Eisenberg situation than anything else.
Thanks, Jamie, again.
Yeah, I think he's high on Rod. And, again, it's a bench spot. So I think that you can –
But you're adding the number 1 receiver for a team that's going to be losing, and I really like that.
And that's in the 14th round.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on who's throwing him the ball, whether it's Matt Schaub or not, I think, in terms of garbage time, Schaub is it's actually a little bit competitive and productive. And just real quick, Josh Gordon with the 4th pick in the 14th round.
I was saying take him if it comes to us in the 14th.
Right.
You were saying it's too early. This guy just jumped on the chance he does play this year. So to me, maybe he's going to be going around the 14th. Some other leagues might take him a little bit higher.
Well, you're going to find out hopefully by Monday whether or not he's suspended. So I think it was worth it in the 14th, 15th round. If he ends up coming back for 6 games or 4 games, I mean, I think it's worth it. 4 or 6 games of Josh Gordon to me is as good, if not better, than most of the guys that were taken in those double-digit rounds. So, Mr. Irrelevant, Jay Feely with the last pick in the draft, going to be a fantasy stud, I think, top scorer.
The biggest thing with these last 3 rounds to me personally, I think we won the last 3 rounds. I mean, usually people don't brag about that, but I do. I love adding the depth in the 14th, 15th, and 16th round where some people kind of give up. I'm shooting to get, a player that could be tipping in late.
Yeah.
In this case, we added Harry Douglas, 1,000-yard receiver, Rod Streeter with 800 yards last year, and we handcuffed Kadeem Carey and Matt Forte. In case Forte goes down, it's going to be Kadeem Carey. So I think we won the last 3 picks, and I think we won the first 3 picks.
Yeah, no, actually, I agree with you. I think the first 3 picks were really huge for us. In terms of who my winner was for the draft, I thought we did a great job, but I also thought that, the team NFL Daily News 101 did a great job. Just real quick, their team: Matt Ryan, A.J. Green, Antonio Brown, Eddie Lacy, Bishop Sankey, Jordan Cameron, Kendall Wright, and on his bench he's got D'Angelo Williams, Darren McFadden, Kelvin Benjamin. He's got a lot of Carolina guys. Ladarius
That's
Green.
Not good.
Flash, exclusive. Here's front page news.
Liked his team the most out of everybody else's other than ours, and that's our show.
Man, that was nice.
Yeah, was it? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it almost as much as like I was reliving the draft last night. Like it brings me back 12 hours.
Yeah, two vodka drinks for Steve yesterday during the draft.
Only one cranberry vodka. It was good.
For anybody else listening to that last episode with Jamie Eisenberg. All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the show. We'll be back. Introducing Caitlin David, our new anchor. Very beautiful, very knowledgeable, and she also enjoys beer, although it's only Coors Light. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.